Welcome to Listen to Your Soul, the podcast where we explore self-discovery, intuition, personal growth, and the magic of living in alignment. I'm Sandy Banfield, your host on this journey of soulful transformation. This is the space for you if you're ready to trust your inner wisdom, embrace your power, and create a life that feels truly yours. Hi everyone. Firstly, I want to start by saying welcome and thank you for tuning into this episode. This podcast has been in my heart for a long time and I'm finally bringing it into the world, and it feels like such a gift. So whether you're here because you want to connect more deeply with your intuition or find more flow in your life or just feel a bit more like you, I want you to know you're in the right place. In this episode of Listen to Your Soul, we are going to dive deep into the topic of trusting your intuition. This is a topic I love talking about so much. We'll be discussing what it really is, how to recognize it, and most importantly, when to trust it. Because let's be honest, we live in a world that constantly tells us to look outside of ourselves for answers all the time. Whether it's experts, data, social norms, or the latest trend, or just the loudest voice in the room, we forget that deep down, we all have this inner knowing, which is our internal compass that's there to guide us, if only we learn to listen and to trust it. So here's what we're going to explore together. What is intuition? The difference between intuition versus fear, and what are the signs and how you can move past external noises, how to build a stronger connection with your intuition, how to trust your intuition when it's challenged, why your intuition is your greatest guide, and how to use it in your everyday life. Gosh, there's a lot to cover there, isn't there? But I hope you're just as excited as me to explore this topic deeper. So let's dive in. Okay, so what is intuition? We hear about it all the time. Some people might call it a gut feeling, others call it an inner voice. It's that nudge from the universe that some might refer to simply as divine guidance. But here's the truth. Intuition is your deepest knowing without needing any logical proof. And by that, I mean it's the part of you that just knows, even when your mind is filled with doubt. So here's a question for you. Have you ever had a moment where your gut told you something and you ignored it, only to realize later that it was right? Think about a time when you just knew something before you had any proof. Maybe you had a strong feeling about someone before you even met them, or maybe you felt a nudge to take a different route home, only to find out later that it saved you from disaster. It's a deep, deep knowing without any doubt in your mind. That is your intuition. The challenge is that we often do doubt it. And that's where we have issues. Our rational mind wants to analyze, compare, gather evidence. Society has conditioned to trust logic over our feelings. But intuition isn't ever logical. Logic doesn't come into play. From my perspective, it's all about energy. It's about tapping into something bigger than yourself. Something unseen but deeply felt within. So how do we recognize what your intuition is versus fear and anxiety? Here are a few key signs that I'm going to share with you. Number one, your intuition feels calm. Your intuition comes with a sense of certainty, even if it doesn't make sense. It's calm, even if it leads you in an unexpected or uncomfortable direction. It carries a sense of deep knowing rather than a feeling of panic. Number two, your intuition is persistent. Unlike fleeting thoughts, intuition keeps nudging you in the same direction over and over and over. It's quiet and steady. It feels like a deep inner knowing that doesn't require any external validation. Number three, your intuition comes in stillness. You'll find this when you do this yourself. When you sit with quiet and the noise around you just filters out. Whether that's through meditation, journaling, or simply taking a deep breath and some time out in nature, or in my case, whenever I take a shower. That's right. You'll notice those intuitive insights start to surface. I honestly do get most of my intuitive thoughts in the shower or when I'm driving. And that's because I can't think about the future and I can't think about the past. And I'm just there in the present moment. So I highly recommend taking showers. Number 4, your intuition aligns with your deeper truth. Your intuition isn't about what's easiest or most convenient. It's about what's right for you, even if it challenges you and even if it doesn't make logical sense. And lastly, number 5 is that it will show up when you need it most. It might be in times of danger, or if you're unsure about a situation, it'll guide you and you just need to trust it. Fear, on the other hand, feels frantic, loud, urgent, and panicked. It feels like pressure, self-doubt, or it might even be like that inner critic that's just trying to keep you safe. It makes you feel like you can't catch your breath. Fear asks, what if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if no one listens? What if no one likes me? All of those things that keep floating around. That is fear. So different. It's such a different energy to the intuition energy. So how do we strengthen our intuition? Here are 3 practices that have transformed my own journey that I'm going to share with you. Number 1 is, first of all, can't stress this enough, slow down and listen. Your intuition can't speak if your mind is too busy to hear it. You really need to create a space for silence. Your intuition is drowned out by noise, distractions, and overthinking. So if we've got racing thoughts and too much going on in our lives, we're not going to be able to hear it. So you need to carve out the time for yourself, some quiet moments, whether that's through meditation, time in nature, or just sitting with your journal to hear the inner guidance. This is when you are learning to reconnect. Once you're using it, it'll just come to you in your everyday life and guide you. Number 2 is to listen to your body. Your intuition often communicates through the body, through sensations as well as thoughts and feelings. You want to pay attention to those physical sensations. It might be a tight chest, a gut feeling, just something that you feel in your heart. Take a note of where you're noticing that and if it's a repeated pattern. For me personally, I always feel it either in my chest, mainly in my gut, and I have like this mental download. So they kind of work together. I have a mental download and a gut feeling, like simultaneously. Your body knows the truth before your mind even catches up. So you really just want to make sure you slow down and listen. Number 3, follow the energy. Notice what excites you, what flows easily, what feels heavy, or what feels forced. Your intuition often speaks through ease and inspiration. So you want to let go of external guidance and validation from others. If you seek too much from the outside, it can cloud your own wisdom. You want to follow your energy and listen. Trust that you already have the answers within you. Number 4, trust the small nudges. Don't wait for a life-changing revelation. Start by trusting those small gut feelings, whether that's what to eat, which book to pick up, who to call. The more you trust your intuition, the more you tap into that, the stronger your connection will grow. And you don't want to put it off. I want you to start now. Take those small aligned actions. Start building on that, because then you'll begin to build your trust in your own intuition by following that guidance, by starting these small steps, little baby steps when you're starting initially. And then you build upon that. The more you listen, the stronger it becomes, and it builds up like you're strengthening a muscle. Number 5, you want to journal your intuitive messages. I love journaling, and I will talk about more on that in a later episode. But I want you to write down the moments when you felt something strongly that had happened, a time in the past where you've actually trusted your intuition. Maybe you didn't realize that was your intuition at the time, but now you have more awareness. And over time, you'll start to see patterns, and then you'll be able to confirm when your intuition was right. And when you remember those times and experiences, I want you to reconnect with that energy. Just when you trusted yourself, remember what that felt like. Okay, so we're going to move on and start talking about how do you trust your intuition when it's challenged, because this can be really tricky for people to kind of really separate what is and what isn't, and understand which is these other things, whether it's ego, fear, and all of that coming into place. There's always going to be people who don't understand your choices, people around you who don't always agree with you, but maybe just don't even understand. They may question your methods, they may challenge your instincts, they might try and redirect your choices based on their own perspective. And you just have to try and remember to tap in to who you are. Remember, their path isn't yours. and that we're all on our own journey. For me personally, if I had listened to all of the conflicting advice that I had received when I started my very first business all those years ago, it was during the recession in the UK. And honestly, looking back now, I just followed my gut instinct. I really don't know where I'd be today if I hadn't have done that. And if I hadn't followed my intuition and taken those steps, I don't think I'd be talking to you right now. I think I would have definitely gone on a different path. If I hadn't have questioned other people's views, for example, when I started writing my latest book, which obviously isn't out yet, I'm not going to give you too much on what it is, but it's coming out hopefully this year. If I had have listened to that, let's be honest, it's not really a common topic. It's even a little bit woo. I probably wouldn't have written it, to be honest. I would have over-planned, over-edited, and not just got on with it. So by doing that, by following my own intuition, I think I would have lost my raw authenticity. Instead, I trusted. I've learned over the years to trust myself and to trust my own rhythm. I've learned to honor my creative cycles, my patterns, and know that all happens in divine timing, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time. My projects, for example, I start always get delivered into the world at the right time. I'm going to talk more on that later on, I think, in a different episode. But if I had to question other people's views, I never would have trusted in myself. I never question my intuition now, ever. I fully trust it. And to date, it has not let me down. The more I trust, the more it shows up and the more it guides me. And from this place, this is where the magic happens. This is what I want for you as well. I want you to trust in your intuition, trust in yourself. Every time you choose your inner knowing over the external noise, you'll strengthen your connection to your intuition, to your own truth. And that's the lesson here, isn't it? To trust yourself, trust your timing, trust that your intuition knows the way, even when the world tells you otherwise. So let's explore, why is your intuition your greatest guide? Intuition isn't loud, as we've already touched on. It doesn't shout to be heard over the noise of doubt. Instead, it's quiet, steady. It's a knowing. It's a subtle whisper that nudges you towards what I call alignment. When you trust it, things fall into place in ways that you can't explain logically. The reality is we live in a world that often values strategy, logic, and evidence over instinct. We're taught to trust the experts, follow proven formulas, and seek external validation before making big decisions. Don't get me wrong, while guidance and expertise have their place, and I'm all for that, there is something intrinsically sacred about following your own deep knowing. Your internal compass, your internal guide, especially when it goes against conventional wisdom. When you lean into your intuition, you really start to operate from a place of this inner alignment rather than following external approval all the time. You start to tap in to yourself. You learn to discern between fear-based resistance and what is genuine intuitive direction. You begin to develop a deep trust in yourself, even when the path ahead isn't entirely clear. And if you're standing on the edge of something new, feeling the pull of your intuition, but you also have the weight of doubts and some conflicting opinions, remember to choose your knowing. Follow what feels right for you, even if you can't explain why. Trust that your soul already knows the way, and it's there to guide you and support you every step of the way. Trust yourself. Okay, so before we wrap this up, let's just recap on what the signs are when you're using your intuition. The signs are: number 1, it feels calm. Number 2, it's persistent. Number 3, it comes in stillness when we slow down. Number 4, it aligns with our deeper truth. And lastly, number 5, it shows up when you need it most. And then let's recap on ways that we covered on how to build your connection with your intuition. 1 is to slow down. 2 is to listen to your body. 3 is to follow your energy, see what it's telling you. 4 is to trust those small nudges. And lastly, 5 is to journal, keep notes of what it's telling you. All right, so after everything we've covered during this episode, I've got a little task for you to take away. Just want you to have a mindful moment sometime within the next week before you listen to the next episode and use your intuition to make a choice on something. Like we've already covered, what food or what meal you're going to have. Just tap into that intuition, make an intuitive choice, see how that feels different for you, how your energy has shifted and changed, and how you're not overthinking things, that you're purely just trusting yourself and you're trusting you. You're not second guessing anything. You're not overthinking. You're just going with one intuitive choice. Of course, you don't have to do that, but it's just a little fun exercise to start practicing what we've covered today. I want you to remember that your intuition is your most powerful tool. It's there to help you break through fear and doubt. It's there to guide you towards deep alignment with your true self. And if you learn to work with it and trust it fully in all areas of your life, you're going to be rewarded in return. There's this beautiful quote from Sonia Choquette. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. Intuition doesn't tell you what you want to hear. It tells you what you need to hear. I think beautifully sums up what we've been talking about. So there we have it, our very first deep dive into trusting your intuition. I hope this episode has given you something to reflect on, and more importantly, a reason to start listening more deeply to yourself. We're going to be delving into other areas of intuition as we follow through more episodes further down the line, I'm sure. So remember, you have all the answers within you. Thank you for taking the time to tune in today. If you've listened this far, I really appreciate you being here. Remember to keep listening to your soul. Until next time, that's all from me. Thank you for joining me on Listen to Your Soul. I hope today's episode brought you some clarity, inspiration, or a little spark of magic. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone you feel might need this message.